At some point in your photography journey, you're going to go through a dry spell, and you might wonder if you'll ever take a good photo again. I'm currently in the middle of the longest dry spell of my photography career, and today I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing about it, and also what you can do about it as well. Let me show you what I mean. Behold, the sun. I've completely forgotten how to take pictures in the sun, so today is a relearning of how to actually use light with photography. I'm pretty excited about it. So one of the things that you've got to remember when you're going through a dry spell of any sort is that often a lot of stuff is out of your control when it comes to getting good photos. Yes, photography is all about putting yourself in the right place at the right time. But sometimes the right place and right time just don't come very often. And that's particularly been the case for me the last couple of months because it's just been a completely flat light. So once I saw the forecast said we were actually going to get some sunshine, some crisp, clear days, bitterly cold, I was very happy about that because I knew there was an opportunity to put myself in the right place at the right time. So how's this for an awesome photography location? We have the sea behind me, we have a town behind me, and we have mountains behind me. Really is one of the most beautiful places in the world, the UK, when we actually get good weather. If you want somewhere to come for good photography, the coast of Wales is not a bad choice. One of the great things about photography in winter is that even on bright sunny days, you get a lot of dynamic light, even in the middle of the day. Because the sun is so low in the sky, if you're far enough north or south, it means that despite the weather being quite harsh and the light being quite harsh, there's still a lot of contrast and you can get really dynamic light still if you work with it properly. So while winter can be very difficult at times for photography, it also makes for some great advantages as well.
That'd be cool, yeah, you won't be able to, unfortunately, you won't be able to get down there.
Yeah, there is a step.
Is there?
Yeah, stay there.
The one thing I massively need to work on is lowering my expectations. Now, this is something that a lot of people fall into, that you feel the need to go out and get good pictures often. Now, I have to admit at this point that this is probably because I do YouTube photography. You know, my business model around this depends on me getting a good amount of good photos quite frequently. For you, that very well might not be the case. And if that is true about you, then I'm very happy for you. You should absolutely lean into that. Lowering your expectations, or even going out without expectations, makes a massive difference to how you perceive your photography. And this is something I'm trying to do more and more, and I've actually got to the point now where it's been so long since I've got good photos, until today, that it's always easy to not have the expectations anymore. I always expect not to get good photos. So that's one good way of overcoming a dry spell, because as soon as you don't have those expectations, then the photos have more of an opportunity to find you. One of the keys to making sure that you do become a good photographer is making sure that you just show up. Often it's the showing up to do the work when it's not right that makes the most difference. Because the days where everything goes well, then they're great. But when you show up for the days that don't go well, well, that's proving that you are working towards being better. And then this applies to more than just photography. It's just something I try and apply in every area of my life. If you're someone that puts in the work, then it will pay off for you, I promise. So a couple of those pictures from today's video really make the point that I want to come across in this video. Because often as photographers, we can go out with some sort of grand plan. We can think that we have to know exactly what we're going to shoot in order to get it. And this is a trap that I've fallen into many times. Because I have to produce photos regularly and content regularly, I often do make a good solid plan to give myself the best chance of getting good photos. But the longer I do this, the more I realise that's probably a little bit counterproductive. Let me talk you through this a little bit. You see, when it comes to artistic photography rather than like studio photography, when it's over-planned, then you become very narrow-minded in what you're looking for. I think that's why I got a lot more photos I was pleased with today than I normally ever would on a really thoroughly planned shoot. Because the only thing I had planned for this particular day was that I knew I was going to a nice beach, the nice weather with possibly snowy mountains in the distance. And all those things came to fruition. I did take those pictures because those were what I'd planned to take, but those weren't my favourite pictures from the day. Because I'd gone out on this particular day with the intention of having no expectations, just seeing what was happening, I was open to those opportunities and photos that I possibly wouldn't have been on any other day. For example, this photo. Now, this is one of my favourite pictures from the day because of its sheer simplicity, I think. Because that bridge that the man was walking under, it wasn't a particularly nice bridge. It was just one for a train to go over. Nobody built it with the intention of it being a piece of art. But that wasn't what made this picture. The light hitting it perfectly, creating a beautiful frame around my subject, the man that was walking underneath, with the shadow just being cast perfectly within that frame. That's what made this picture work. And now the only reason I managed to get that picture is because I had the know-how. I actually saw that frame before I even intended to get that picture. If you notice in the video, I was actually waiting for somebody to walk through it. I waited for the picture to happen to me. And that's something I'm going to try and practice a bit more in future. Because when you're very narrow-minded in searching for pictures, then often you miss those beautiful moments that are just fleeting. Whereas when you let the pictures happen to you and you are prepared for them, well, that's when you produce some really good photos. And you've probably noticed as well in this video that I was experimenting a little bit with different styles. I've been very stifled over this last year in the sort of photography I've been doing and the sort of style I've been going for. But the longer I do this on YouTube, the more I want to fight against this sort of narrowing that happens. Now, this is quite a common thing on YouTube where everybody gets put into their little pigeonhole, their box, and I really don't like that. I don't want to be just one type of photographer. Now, it's probably true that that would be best for this as a business, you know, trying to reach the biggest audience if I just really niche it down. But then I wouldn't be being true to myself. I love trying all sorts of different styles. The editing I was doing in this video was very different to what I would normally do. The sort of subjects I was shooting, I don't actually do that much street photography, but every time I do it, I absolutely love it. So I might try that a bit more this year. But that sort of fits hand in hand with the theme of this video, because when you have a dry spell and you're trying to force yourself to do a specific thing within your niche of photography, then that dry spell, it doesn't have any sort of give. You have to get good photos within that niche. Whereas by doing that sort of experimentation on this day, I feel like I've just been invigorated just from doing a few hours of photography that was a little bit different. And that's something that you can do as well. Don't pigeonhole yourself, because as the old saying goes, a change is as good as a rest. And I think that's probably true of photography. Maybe you should try doing something a little bit different and your dry spell will come to an end a lot more quickly. By the way, I've been toying with the idea of doing a bit more black and white. What do you think of this picture in black and white? Do you prefer it in colour or black and white? Personally, I think both look good, but black and white is particularly good for highlighting subjects and making them really pop and stand out, telling the story a bit more. maybe that's something I'll explore in another video. So if that's something you'd like to see, then let me know in the comments. And one thing about a couple of today's pictures is that I definitely think they're portfolio worthy, because they're going to look quite strange in my portfolio. Tell me what you think. If you go on my website, joshuapeg.com, and have a look at my portfolio with these new photos in there, do you think there's room for more of that style? I would love for there to be. And it's my portfolio, so although I'm asking your opinion, I'm probably going to do it anyway. But you're quite entitled to tell me what you think as well. I suppose the main point I want you to take away for your own photography is that every dry spell absolutely comes to an end. As a Welsh person, I know that for a fact. If it's a dry day, I know that probably there's going to be rain very soon. And that's true with photography. If it's been a while since you've taken a good photo, I promise you that if you just let the photos happen to you and lower your expectations, then you'll probably find that there's a refreshing rain shower on the way, and probably pretty soon as well. I'll see you next time.